Hey everyone, it's Lars here, and welcome back to Virtual Paddock. Today, I want to take a look at the new sim on the sim racing game market, and that is PISTA Motorsport by REG Simulations from Argentina. Now this sim just entered early access back on the 20th of August, so it's still very new. But let's give it a try. Now in terms of content, it's still quite limited. There are 4 car classes, which are Formula 3 Metropolitana, Turismo Pista C1 with the Fiat Uno, Turismo Pista C3, which has the Renault Clio, the Toyota Etios and the Ford Fiesta, and finally Pro Car 4000A, which has the Dodge GTX, the Chevy and the Ford Falcon. In terms of tracks, there's Rosario, La Plata with 3 layouts, San Nicolas with 2 layouts, and Termas de Rio Hondo. So 4 tracks with overall 7 layouts. And you probably noticed that it very much seems to be focused on the Argentine motor racing scene. And you'd be correct. I'm really curious to see what else is to come. You can definitely expect some third-party content in the future. Modding support has been confirmed, especially given that REG Simulations actually started with modding. Now, in terms of the UI, it's generally very easy to navigate, but there are a few points where I think it needs improvement. Mostly in the control options. You can see that there's a separate tab for each device that I'm using. That actually had me worried that I might not be able to use them together for driving. I mean, luckily I was wrong, but that's honestly a very questionable design choice. Another point where the UI could be better is for the car choices. I just wish it was a little more compact, especially for the classes with a few different cars. But aside from that, I think the UI is pretty decent. And let's see how it'll look with more features in the game eventually. In terms of driving modes, we're limited to practice and time trial for now. You do get a race option in the menu, but it doesn't do anything yet. So as of right now, you're always on track by yourself. Now, before we go on track to drive, I want to show you another very interesting feature that I haven't seen in any other sim. Because once you're in the pits, you can do a track walk. You can use the W, A, S and D keys to walk around and your mouse to change the direction you're looking and walking. This is a really cool feature in my opinion, and I'd love to see other sims implement this as well. Now for the next few points, I think I can best discuss those on the track. So let's choose a car on the track and drive. Right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the graphics. And for that, the first thing you need to know is that I'm running the settings I'm running the default settings. I didn't change anything in the graphics settings. So most settings on high, I think some shadows were set to medium or something. But I didn't turn anything down. And you probably noticed that this, in terms of graphics, isn't exactly the shiniest sim. Or to put it another way, this sim honestly does look quite dated for 2024. Now, I'm not that bothered, and some people might actually be a bit thankful for it, because it doesn't require you to run a particularly high-end computer. But for people who are fans of like really crisp, really crisp and really high-end looking sims, those people might not be that happy with these graphics. And I understand that. Now, maybe the graphics will improve in future versions. As you know, this is only the very first early access version. Basically, we'll just have to see what REG Simulations will bring us in the future. For now, this look is basically all we have. Now the other point I need to talk about is, of course, for any racing sim, physics and force feedback. In terms of physics, obviously I've never driven any of these cars in this sim. I've never driven any of these for real. But it certainly feels quite realistic. I definitely haven't noticed any like big fault in the physics that it would indicate that it feels unrealistic. In terms of the force feedback, it gives you all the information that you need to know. I'm still kind of getting used to some things. Like really learning how this sim communicates, what the tire is doing. I feel that there are some sims that do like tire feel a little better. The force feedback in this sim certainly isn't bad. You definitely notice when you're off track by the force feedback. That wasn't intentional, by the way. And one thing where maybe to some people I have to give out a bit of a warning even, is how this sim communicates oversteer. Because it can, in some situations, be quite violent. And where I did in that corner, that was of course deliberate lift of oversteer. And in a way that I could still hold it. But I've had some oversteer moments where it actually really pulled me and like pulled my whole body to the side. I've got the force feedback intensity set down to 50%. There's not much in terms of force feedback options yet in this sim. Basically, the force feedback menu, all it is you can select if you want the force feedback enabled or disabled, and how much you want. It's a scale from 100% to minus 100%. So inverted force feedback, you just set on that same scale. So overall, I'm so far very happy with the driving feel of this sim. However, it's not a big variation yet in terms of cars, as you've seen. The car selection menu is indicating that They might add cards in the near future. I'm definitely gonna try those once they're in the game. But let's see what REG Simulations will give us. But there's even more, because this sim already has two features that are very uncommon to see at this stage in early access. And that is rain and VR. Well, actually it's more wet track rather than rain. You can definitely tell that it affects things, and especially when you hit standing water. It does also highlight an issue with the graphics though, which is that you see the spray from the water in the cockpit. In terms of VR quality, it's pretty much in line with the graphics in general. It runs without issue, but the graphics could be better in general. What was quite annoying, however, is the fact that I had to use my touch controls in the menu, and I couldn't simply use the cursor. That did make it quite difficult at some points. But aside from that, I didn't notice any issues with the VR. I think it's great that the game already has it at this stage. I don't know if it maybe was a strategic decision, to get the no VR, no bike crowd on the sim, but it's definitely cool to see. Now overall, I am enjoying the sim so far. It's very different to other sims in terms of content, but that's not a bad thing. I definitely think that PISTA Motorsport has potential. There are a few issues that I mentioned, like somewhat outdated graphics, or some things about the UI. But I don't think that those are make or break type of issues. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. So, till next time, use the downforce, and see you soon.